Welcome to Nick and Dave Deep Dive the Metaverse, a podcast exploring cult classics, subculture, and geek media. I'm Nick.
And I'm Dave.
And we will be your tour guides today for this deep dive of Henry Selick's 1993 twisted holiday fairy tale, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I was wondering if you were going to call it Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, because it was also released as The Nightmare Before Christmas, sans Tim Burton.
Oh, really? Yeah, see, it's really interesting that I noticed there's a very modern-looking title card when you started on Disney Plus that has the Disney name on it. But
I saw that, yeah.
When they released it, it was under Touchstone Pictures. Disney didn't even want to put the Disney name.
Yeah, but it was property of Disney, still is, because he wrote it and storyboarded it out and all of that and pitched it unsuccessfully while he was a Disney employee.
Right. And if you have been to Disneyland in October in the last 20 years, like since 2001, they basically re-skinned the park Nightmare Before Christmas.
I really want to go during October at some point. I never have. Don't they still have like a Bats Day or something like that?
You know, I think Bats Day, I might be wrong about this, so don't quote me, but I think Bats Day went away and then got revived.
Oh, okay. Well, then if it's revived, I still want to go.
Yeah, it'd be fun. The Disney theme days, I've sort of stumbled into the whatever, I forget what the Rockabilly Day is called, but I've happened upon it by accident twice, which is just kind of good timing.
You go a lot, don't you?
We go to Disney, you know, wife Lisa is a big time Disney head, and so I wouldn't say in the last 20 years that we've gone 20 times, but in the last 20 years, I bet we've gone 13 times or something like that.
Okay, so we should go together and make an episode out of it.
A whole Disney.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's an easy peasy one. Slam dunk.
We get candid interviews.
Yeah.
See if we get any of those.
I want to interview Gaston.
Candid interviews with
Yes.
with the characters.
Will they do it?
I don't know. Maybe go. Yeah, actually, you know, because Lisa's such a big fan, I watched some Disney YouTube channels.
Okay.
Shouts to Ordinary Adventures. That's a great YouTube channel.
Nice.
And sometimes they do kind of interview the characters and stuff. Like they kind of shout questions out at them.
Yeah, like I want to ask Gaston, like, what are you especially good at?
Yeah. I mean, we know a few of the things like expectorating,
Exactly.
growing chest hair. You know?
I think that would be fun. Hopefully the divers would. And if not, well, you know, it could be bonus content. We'll see. All right, so back on this movie. This actually was wildly successful. It had a budget of $24 million and it grossed 91.5, which at the time in the early 90s, that was a pretty huge movie. Kind of the big target back in the day was $100 million.
Yeah.
And it almost made it. For this kind of weird, quirky, sing-along, Danny Elfman focused movie, because he really is the star here.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't skip to the end of our what worked for you.
Oh, okay.
But Danny Elfman, sort of like, you know, last episode we talked about Rick Baker, Monster Maker, doing the heavy lifting for American Werewolf. Danny Elfman is the king of this movie. Well,
and that even happened in the making of the movie, because Tim Burton, he designed it and he'd done all the sketching and drawing of all the concept art, and he went and took storyboards and concept art and had discussions with Danny Elfman, and Danny Elfman used those pieces of concept art and those conversations with Tim Burton to write all the songs before they had even done final layouts and any claymation.
Yeah.
So
and they didn't even have a script.
Yeah, they built the movie around the music.
Yeah, and that really shows.
Yeah,
because it is just it just takes you the interstitial parts get you to the next song.
Yeah, this is very much a musical.
Yeah, this movie had such a weird, you know, kind of 21-year path to the screen, because like as you talked about a little bit ago, Tim Burton, he interned at and then was a junior animator at Disney in the early 80s, and he just was never a good fit there. But he had some
spooky.
Yeah, too spooky, too weird. Even like, because I saw he did concept art for like Tron and the Black Cauldron and the Fox and the Hound, and they didn't even use his creepy artwork for the Black Cauldron, which would be the one
creepy.
Yeah, would be the one it fit, and he was still kind of too in left field for that. But they bought his treatment for this as a TV special and then never produced it. So when after he blew up with Batman and Beetlejuice, oops, dropped my phone. But Disney contacted him and was like, "Is there anything you'd like to do for us?" And he's like, "Well, actually, you bought something I want to do, and I'd still like to do it."
Yeah, it's pretty cool because I'm my favorite Tim Burton movie is Beetlejuice.
Yeah, we should do that.
We should do Beetlejuice for sure. I love that movie. It's so good. As a child, that was one of the videotapes we had. Like I'd watch that with like Last Unicorn and stuff. So I have a lot of fond memories.
With the exception of Batman, my parents were down on every single Tim Burton movie.
Wow.
So no Pee-wee's Big Adventure, no Beetlejuice. I didn't see any of that stuff till I was like 17 and renting my own movies. And then I was like, I need to make up for lost time.
Man, I love Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I mean, I swear, like every time I'd like walk into the room for a while and someone would like look over at me, I'd be like, Large Marge sent me.
Yeah, and Paul Rubens is in the voice cast of this movie too. Yeah. Tim Burton, he gets people that he likes to work with, and he keeps bringing them back, and I love that about him.
Yeah, it's good relationship building. All right, so what have you been up to?
Yesterday I went up to Olympia. I got to hang out with Diver Corey. We went record shopping at Rainy Day Records and hit up Headless Mumby, the brewery where I've been wanting to get to forever. But pretty low-key, nothing too exciting. What have you been up to lately?
I mean, similarly, I went up to the Seattle area, but I was playing disc golf at the Kayak Disc Golf Resort, which is pretty dope. Had a great time, but mostly what we've been doing, both of us, is creating a new news segment for this podcast.
Yeah, we often really kind of racking our brains to have something to fill this segment, and sometimes it seems redundant with the what are you into right now segment.
Yeah, they're kind of the what are you into and what have you been up to are almost the same thing sometimes.
Yeah, and so Dave had the bright idea, why don't we expand a little bit into the news sector, and I thought that was a good idea. It's something I've always wanted to do on the podcast, and we never squeezed in.
We often have people, divers, tell us, hey, are you going to do this? And oftentimes the answer is just no.
Yeah.
But I would like to call it out because it's cool and we're watching it and it exists. And even though we're not going to do an episode on it, I would like to say something about it. So
for sure.
We are currently calling this the Untitled News segment because we want the divers to come up with a name. Somebody to contact me or Nick, tweet at us, respond to the episode posting on any of our socials at Deep Dive the Meta.
Yeah.
Just post a comment. What should we name this Untitled News segment? If a diver comes up with something cool, we will totally use it. If it's all stuff that is just trolling us, we will totally not use it.
Yeah, we are not obligated to use your trash ideas, but
we can use our trash ideas.
Yeah, exactly. We have our own trash can of ideas that we can.
You might say we have unlimited trash ideas.
Totally. So, it was your idea. What's your first news item?
First news item is The Wheel of Time on Amazon. I've been following this pretty close because number one diver, Carrie, is a super mega fan. I've been trying to convince her that she should come on here as our first guest as a subject matter enthusiast after season 1. That's a maybe. Okay. But they're releasing it on a weekly schedule. It releases at Friday midnight GMT, which translates to 4 p.m. Thursdays here. Oh. So we watch them every Thursday. There's only 4 episodes out. They're moving like mega faster than the books.
Okay.
It's a 14-book series that often had been called the Wheel of Time Wasting because it's just so in depth with a million side characters.
Okay.
Kind of how Martin does.
Yeah. That'd be George R.R.
Yes. Okay. And so, but this comes before George R.R. Martin's famous books, and it's heavily inspired by Tolkien, but it was modern when it was put out in the 80s and 90s and when it was written. So it doesn't feel modern now, the books, but this show is really great. The casting is amazing. There's some internet people being dicks because they always are.
Yeah.
Because they used a diverse cast on this show. Because in the books, it mostly doesn't talk about anything related to race or even some of the appearances. So they have a really diverse cast, but ultimately they just chose amazing actors, and it's so far really good. Like they're only 4 episodes in, and they've already gone through like half a book.
Oh, really? So it's got that far.
Yeah.
So okay, so I'm not as far along as you, and I'm also not as strong on this as you. So let's see. Let me ask some questions about.
All right.
About.
I'll do my best.
Okay. God, what do I want to know about? So this is halfway, you said, through the first book?
I mean, it might. The thing is they've dissected the books and pulled out the plot threads as individuals, and it seems like they're following different plot threads at different rates. And
okay.
So they're like, oh yeah, we need to follow the the Logain plot, and we're going to do it. They did that plot super fast, even though it took a lot longer. Whereas there's other plots they haven't advanced very far. So it's very clear that they dissected the whole series into plot threads.
Yeah.
So that they can incorporate them in a more TV friendly method.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I just kind of get what I'm bumping up against. It's not the casting, which, because I don't have very much in the way of preconceived notions, other than I remember that original book cover. One guy looked kind of like he was a samurai, and he still does. So
he's still an Asian dude with a katana. So.
Yeah, so I didn't bump up against that at all, or any of the other casting. I expected it to look a little more expensive than it does. It kind of verges for me on CW sci-fi level special effects.
Wow, I think the effects look pretty good. The thing that I don't like, appearance wise, because it's not perfect, is I think everything's too clean.
Oh yeah, I thought that too.
I would like it. They should have watched some Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings stuff and look like, you see how Aragorn looks? Okay. Yeah. That's what an adventurer looks like.
Yeah.
They're pretty dirty, their gear is worn, nothing looks new.
So yeah. So that, and I think that's part of what I talk about. It looks very like TV-ish.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like popping. Like all the colors are really saturated. It's bright.
Yeah. So that just I kind of bump up against a little bit. The characters are growing on me. Certain characters got me right from the first episode.
Who do you like?
Big boy that accidentally kills his blacksmith girlfriend.
Yeah. Don't spoil. No, that's fine. This is not a spoiler-free podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. I was not super into that episode, and then I rolled a real tear. I was like,
oh no.
Yeah, like I had been kind of like, I'm not so into this, and then that happened, and I was like, me and Lisa both like leaned way forward, and we're like, oh my God. And then it was like, what happens next? Like, it finally hooked me, but that's towards the end of that first episode.
I gotta say, because you're bumping up against a little stuff, and after I watched episode 1, I was a little like, how do I feel about this?
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I'm sitting on the couch next to a mega fan. And I would say that her fandom of Wheel of Time is greater than any of my fandoms for anything.
Wow.
And I'm pretty enthusiastic. So I was like, I don't know, but now every episode is better than the one before it.
And I'd agree with that. Actually.
Episode 4, it fucking destroyed. It's so good. Like it was awesome.
Yeah. So we haven't done 4 yet, but I would definitely 2 was better than 1,
and 3 was better than 2. Yeah,
so,
it just gets better and better. Like so, if you're not sure, or you just watched 1 and you're not sure, just keep going, because it just gets better and better. It's like an avalanche.
So I do think releasing 3 was a good call.
Yeah, 1 would have been a bad call, because it was hard. They fire hosed you with characters, etc. Yeah. So this isn't supposed to be a deep dive section, so I'm going to move on.
Let's go to the next thing.
And my next things are shorter.
Okay.
Cowboy Bebop on Netflix.
How is it? I haven't watched it yet.
Not good.
Oh.
It's a remake of the classic anime. The casting is good. John Cho is awesome.
Yeah.
Mustafa Shakir is really good.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome.
And Danielle Pineda is also really good. I think the actors they act well and they look right. What I bumped up against, and I didn't even finish this. I only watched a couple episodes because I hate how they do the action sequences. They're supposed to be all like John Woo and whatever.
Right.
But they animeify them with the physical people, how they'll be like punching and moving their hands and bodies in like really crazy kind of herky-jerky ways that happens on anime, on a cartoon, because it's really overemphasized and stylistic. They do that all the time through everything. They try to make the people imitate a cartoon.
That's always tough.
Ghost in the Shell did it way better. They took a cartoon and they made it a live action, and it didn't make you think, oh my God, they're trying to pretend they're an anime character flying through the air and doing kung fu moves. Like, they didn't fake it. So I'm not going to tell divers not to watch Cowboy Bebop, but I'm saying I watched 2 episodes and I'm not watching anymore.
Did you watch the original? I think
I
you
did not.
Oh,
no.
you didn't? Okay.
This I was going to for this. All right, next up, Arcane on Netflix.
Oh, that's another animated, right?
It's animated. It's League of Legends property, and it's done kind of in a computer-generated anime style-ish.
Yeah.
And it's all steampunky.
Yeah.
It looks really cool. I've only watched one. It already got renewed for a second season, which means I'm probably going to watch this because it's cool.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple upcoming things.
Okay.
The Expanse Season 6, coming out December 6th. The best sci-fi show on in the modern era, period. Nothing
I know a lot of
touches
people
it.
will agree with you about that.
The only thing close to it, like even like can hold a candle, was Picard. And that's only because I love the character so much and I have so much nostalgia. Nothing else recently has been at all good compared to The Expanse. So that's coming out. It's the last season.
Okay.
So it should be really cool. And then the other thing coming up is The Book of Boba Fett, December 29th on HBO.
Oh, yeah. I just watched the second teaser for that.
Oh, man.
And
Yeah,
that
it looks so
that looks
dope.
good.
I'm thinking I'm going to watch that last season of Mando again, just to kind of get myself ready.
Cool.
And then I have one more thing, and I'm just calling this interesting stuff. It has nothing to do with nerd culture. The last person born in the 19th century recently passed. The oldest living human being at 124 years old, Francisca Susano, who's a Filipina. And I saw that on the news because I read Slashdot, which is a nerdy news site, and I was like, holy shit, a person born in the 1800s still alive? Wow, that's insane.
It is insane.
124 years old. That's some good living right there.
They're doing something right. I don't know. I mean, my understanding of the Filipino diet is not very healthy. It's pork heavy, as I understand.
I think there's a lot of genetics that go involved. Like, because you talk to these, you see us, you don't talk to them. You see these interviews, unless you know them, then talk to them.
Yeah.
You see an interview online, and they're like, someone's like, ask this old 100-year-old man, how'd you get this old? And he goes, I have eggs and bacon every morning, and I always have a slice of pie after dinner and wash it down with some whiskey. And
you're
like,
I remember that guy.
All right, dude. That's not good.
I mean, or it is. That's good living.
Hey, you got to enjoy your life.
Yeah.
All right.
Totally.
So, what do you have for Untitled News segment?
So I went in a different direction. Something that I've been stoked about lately is that bands are touring again.
Oh, yeah.
And I bought a bunch of tickets.
Oh, shit.
For shows, but I'm just going to call out 2 tours because I think that they're kind of the big deals of the tickets that I have outstanding right now. So number 1 is the band Turnstile.
Okay.
For my money, that's the most exciting band in hardcore right now. I think that they're just a great band, and I'm super stoked to.
So I haven't really
them.
listened to them. What are they comparable to?
Like I would say they're kind of like if you combined that sort of concussive force of Snapcase with the melody of H2O with a very modern production, sort of like if like the like the Neptunes production team, like Pharrell Williams.
Okay.
Like it seems like they have like really modern, slick production, but it's rooted in this like kind of golden age of hardcore sound.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and they're very experimental in a way. Like you could compare them. They don't sound like the Deftones, but they are expanding on the idea of hardcore in a similar way to what the Deftones did.
Okay, that's cool.
And so they're touring in support of their album Glow On, and they're in Europe right now, but they'll be back in the States for 4 dates in California in February, and then a full U.S. tour starts in April. And if you want to run into me, I'm going to be at the Seattle show.
Oh.
And then the other one is a band I mentioned before on the podcast, and that's Amyl and the Sniffers. They have been finally released from Australia's very strict lockdown quarantine, and they're out in the wild right now. Turnstile, they're also in Europe right now, but they'll be in the U.S. in April. And for that one, I'm going to go to the Portland show, so look for me there. And I suggest if there's tickets left in your market for either of these are shows to not miss. I think both these bands are really exciting young bands, and I haven't really been stoked on a ton of new bands in a while. So it's fun to kind of find new stuff. Like my 18-year-old niece saw Turnstile a couple weeks ago, and I'm jealous of her. And I was like, wait, what? you went and saw a band that I want to go see?
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's all I got, other than if you want to speculate on Spider-Man No Way Home and what's going to happen on there. I'm been kind of refreshing myself on the old Spider-Man movies, like the Sam Raimi ones, in preparation for that, because they're bringing everything, the multiverse together and bringing stuff back from all the old movies.
I will admit I have not watched a Spider movie since that one where James Franco was the bad guy.
That's the worst one. You see, you're like that. You'll be like, well, that sucked, and I won't come back.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. I mean, it's like if you're eating at a buffet and you grab a plate and it sucks balls. Do you go back for more? No, you just don't.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's a lot of extenuating circumstances for why Spider-Man 3 is bad.
Spider-Man as a movie franchise is like, it's low tier. It's like, what's worse, X-Men franchise or Spider-Man franchise? Two really cool franchise IPs that are just a pile full of garbage movies.
Oh no! So Spider-Man has 2 nearly perfect superhero movies.
Ooh, you can't put perfect and superhero in the same sentence.
I would say the Spider-Man franchise has 2 nearly perfect superhero movies, and X-Men has 1 nearly perfect superhero movie.
What's the good X-Men one?
Logan.
Okay, yeah, Logan is the best one, and that's just the Wolverine movie. Because the rest of the X-Men stuff is not good.
Yeah, but anyways, so I figured that was if my tour dates were shot down as not being geeky enough, I was going to come out with Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I'm not geeky enough to like Spider-Man movies, because I'm over comic book movies. I just don't see myself seeing another one unless there's a reason to. Mm-hmm. I just, every time, like, they're like, ooh, Eternals is amazing. Nah, it looks lame.
No, you said it last episode. You said it looked good.
So I then went and watched like teasers and stuff on YouTube to like get myself hyped, and I was like, oh man, no, I don't actually want to see this.
I don't think that you would like it, but I would say it's like the Dune of superhero movies. If Dune is Star Wars for grown-ups, like Denis Villeneuve said, Eternals is superheroes for grown-ups. Like it's very much, God, what's her name? Chloe Zhao, the director. Mm-hmm. She used sort of Denis Villeneuve movies like for her sizzle reel when she made her pitch to Marvel. She's like, this is the kind of movie that I'm interested in making.
Interesting. So like the more I saw of it, the less interesting it was to me. Like, I guess I like the idea of it. I just didn't like what I saw.
Yeah. So like, I think the things that it's the most inspired by would be Man of Steel and
that was a good movie.
And Villeneuve's movie Arrival. Those are kind of like, it's more like Man of Steel is an alien invasion movie more than it's a superhero movie. Similarly with the Eternals.
Interesting. Also, I don't like going to theaters.
Yeah,
that's another one.
For a skeptic, wait till Disney Plus, and when it's on there, you can watch it in the comfort of your own home, in your PJs.
That way I don't have to deal with people crinkling their candy wrappers and cheering for things. Shut up.
That's so Grinchy. Okay, we've gone on for quite a while here.
Yeah, it's a little long. So what's our podcast fuel?
Our podcast fuel is from Pelican Brewing. Brewing. I said it right on the
nice.
They're in the coast of Oregon, and we've got their Cascadian Dark Ale, Bad Santa.
This is one of my favorite brews styles, like CDAs, or is something I really like. And this is good. This is a very good version of it.
Yeah, roasty malt color, deep red brown, I always mess these up. Roasty malt character, deep red brown color, and alluring herbal hops. Those herbal hops are what gives it that sort of Christmassy feel.
Yeah.
But it's not a winter warmer. It's a CDA, and I think it's a good one. It's maybe a little strong for podcast fuel, but
is it?
It's 7.5.
7.5. That's true. Yeah.
So if we get a little punchy towards the end, you can blame the Bad Santa, but I like it too.
Yeah. Usually I go on my rants if I get a little punchy. So.
All right, why don't we take a break and dive into The Nightmare Before Christmas? All right, welcome back, divers. Let's get into Henry Selick's 1993, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
This one kind of opens up on a scene where you're seeing all of these different trees, and there are like portals to the different holiday worlds.
Yeah.
And you see Christmas and Easter and all of that, and then you see Halloween. Mm-hmm. And it takes you into Halloween Town, and there's a scarecrow and everything, and you get the first song pretty right off the bat. This is Halloween, which is classic.
You kind of brushed over the intro there, and I'm not surprised, but you get the intro from Edward Ivory as Santa. But that's not the version that I'm used to, because on the album, Patrick Stewart does the intro as well as an epilogue. But for some reason, those did not get used in the film. And I think that those versions are better. The Patrick Stewart versions are better.
Huh.
So I don't know why, if he was at one point cast as Santa and then couldn't finish it, or I don't know what that reason is. I haven't found anything on the internet explaining it. But I was surprised, because I'm just more familiar with the album. I was surprised when I didn't hear Patrick Stewart's voice at the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. So interesting. And so you're kind of at the beginning of this movie, during this opening song, you're getting a tour of Halloween Town. And it's filled with all of these monsters and supernatural beings. Like you have ghosts and witches and werewolves, haunted trees, clowns, vampires, all the Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of like this intro. Is cool seeing all this stuff. It's a nice way to kind of get acquainted with Halloween Town.
Yeah, I predictably, because as a monster kid, I love all of this stuff. And if you were like a fan of monster movies and horror movies, it's just all Easter eggs.
Sure. Yeah.
Like the guy, the behemoth, the kind of bald headed guy that is dragging Jack's wicker horse into town. Mm-hmm. He's based on Tor Johnson, who was like a wrestler in the 50s, and was famously in Plan 9 from Outer Space by Ed Wood. And like Danny Elfman's face is in the zombie band. His face is inside the stand-up bass. Huh. And there's just lots of little things. Like it bears multiple watchings to get all the little stuff.
This is one of those movies that's really something you can nerd out on.
Oh, for sure. And this is where we meet our protagonist for the first time, Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King. He gets, as I said, kind of drawn into town on a wicker horse. And we also meet Sally, played by Catherine O'Hara. She's a living ragdoll created by evil scientist Dr. Finkelstein. And Sally is always drugging the evil scientist to escape from him. And she's kind of in love with Jack. And so is everyone else in Halloween Town. The whole town's in love with Jack, but Jack is kind of over it.
Yeah, it's like just following Halloween. He's basically telling them, "All right, good job, everybody. Halloween was great." And he's basically like, man, I'm just bored of this. It's all the same."
Yeah.
And he like sneaks away, and they're giving awards like, best scare and all this different stuff. And the mayor, I think it's the mayor giving them out. And then Jack sneaks off to a graveyard, and he has a musical number there.
Yeah. Song number 2, Jack's Lament.
And Sally is sneaking around the graveyard. She snuck away from the mad scientist by, I think, unstitching her arm.
Yeah, she pulls that move a few times.
Yeah, she pulls a lizard limb situation multiple times. And then his dog Zero is there, the ghost. Yeah. And but at this point in the movie, I was like, oh man, it's been so long since I watched this. Easily, I watched it in the 90s was the last time I saw it, more than 20 years ago. I forgot this was almost entirely a musical.
Yeah, complete. It is definitely.
Like, it's like music, small scene, and I had just forgotten that. Yeah. So I was like, all right, buckle up. There's going to be a lot of music.
Oh, that's when you suggested this movie. I was like, you don't like musicals.
No, I do. Yeah, I'll go on record to say I do not like musicals. And so... But I do love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. And I like claymation too. I've always liked claymation.
Yeah. Well, technically, so claymation was a particular studio here.
Oh yeah. This is stop motion animation using clay puppets.
Exactly. Claymation is trademarked and you can't say that.
Yes.
Don't sue us, Will Vinton.
It's crazy. They did like, what was it? 24 poses per second. Mm-hmm. So every second of footage is 24 individual stills. And these puppets are interesting because they're made on a metal frame with like ball and socket joints, and they use oil-based clay, so it continues to, like, it doesn't dry out. Right. It continues to stay flexible. And then they have like swappable Jack Skellington heads. They had over 400 heads with they had every letter sound and every emotion and all of that. And so they would swap his head in order to make him talk.
It's pretty impressive and time consuming. Like if you look at Henry Selick's IMDb, you see like why he's directed so few films, because each one of these is like takes 3 times as long as making a normal film.
It took 3 years to do the stop motion for this.
It is pretty bonkers. I just want to say Jack's Lament. This is my favorite song in the movie.
Okay.
This is my karaoke jam. I love to sing this song. And I wanted to spotlight Jack's dog Zero a little bit more because he's this mashup of Rudolph and the Grinch's dog Max.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's definitely got that Rudolph influence. Yeah. Got the glowing nose.
And so that's like these two things that mash up in this movie quite a bit are the old Rankin Bass stop motion animation Christmas specials like Rudolph.
And I'm a big fan of Rankin Bass.
Oh yeah, we're on record about that. And then Dr. Seuss, the Grinch.
Yeah.
Because Jack is like the reverse Grinch.
Yes.
He steals Christmas, but not out of spite. He steals it out of enthusiasm for Christmas.
Yeah, I watched a few Netflix videos, or not, YouTube videos about this. And that was one of the things that Tim Burton said, is that Jack Skellington is the opposite of the Grinch. He's super enthusiastic about Christmas, even though he's a spooky dude.
Yeah.
The Grinch is a hater on Christmas. Anyway, so basically, they have the graveyard musical, Jack's Lament. I like the opening track. This is Halloween. That's classic for me. Okay. And then Sally goes back to the mad scientist. She gets her arm back. You get a little bit of interaction there. How Dr. Finkelstein is kind of a turd. Like, you belong to me.
Yeah, he's created her like to be his companion, and she's not into it. William Hickey plays Dr. Finkelstein, and he's kind of just a great heel. You know, just you love to kind of hate this guy.
Yeah.
And like you said, Sally goes back to Dr. Finkelstein to collect her arm. Jack heads into the woods.
And the mayor goes to Jack's house to deliver a message and to talk to him. And I just want to call out that the mayor has, instead of a bow tie, he has a Black Widow spider.
Yeah.
And that is so dope. I want a Black Widow spider bow tie.
Yeah. And the mayor has two faces, basically like his jovial face and his panicked face that he alternates between. And I like that too. That's just good storytelling. He's a two-faced politician. Yeah, literally.
Yeah. It's calling it out. I like it. So Jack's not home, and the mayor's like, "Oh my god," he goes worried.
Yeah, Jack is out in the woods. He's just been wandering all night in his doldrums, and then he finds himself in that grove.
The grove, yeah.
Yeah, that we saw at the beginning with the different holiday-themed doors, and he's just captivated by that Christmas door.
Mm-hmm. So he goes in. He stumbles into Christmas Town.
Yeah.
And you see all the crazy stuff. There's snow and trains and elves, penguins, gingerbread village.
Yeah.
Another musical number.
What's this?
And Jack is kind of like exploring, and it's and he's really loving it. And it cuts back to Halloween Town, where the townsfolk are all looking for Jack. They're all worried, and Sally is once again trying to poison Dr. Finkelstein. This time I love it that she pulls out a spoon that has holes in the bottom, so she pretends to drink the soup or eat the soup, and doesn't, and she poisons him. That's good times.
I put it in my notes that Dr. Finkelstein, he's suspicious, but he's still a chump. He's just too easy to dupe. And I love the juxtaposition of Christmas Town to Halloween Town, because where Halloween Town is like this German expressionist thing where everything's weird, canted angles.
Stuff,
Christmas Town is total Dr. Seuss. It's the Who village.
Yeah, exactly.
The Whoville village from the Grinch. And the two things, they couldn't be more different.
I couldn't help. But when I was watching this, the Christmas Town and the elves and everything, I recently finished watching the most recent season of Big Mouth.
Oh, yeah?
Though I guess it's the last season. I don't know if it's the last season, but it's the most recent one. And it's not even that old.
Yeah.
And there's a Christmas episode on there, and the elves get freaky and stuff. And it gets dark. It gets real crazy. And I was watching this, and I was like, oh no.
I love that he thinks they're children through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, these are Kringle elves. These aren't children.
Yeah, and so Jack is awed by all this unfamiliar stuff. So he goes back to Halloween Town, and he figures out that they're not aware of the whole idea of Christmas either.
Yeah.
And so he starts telling them the tale. He has the mayor ring the bell and bring everybody so he can tell the story of Sandy Claus.
Yeah, he comes back with like a snow machine and a sleigh filled with Christmas loot because he just burgled everything while he was there.
Yeah, why not?
And then we get the song Town Meeting, and Jack, like as you say, explains it all to them. But no one completely gets the idea of Christmas, including Jack. He doesn't really get it either.
Yeah,
but he just loves it.
He's like he's bulging in red like a lobster.
Yeah,
and he has claws for hands. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I like this idea.
Yeah, I do. And there's some illustrations of like what he imagines Sandy Claus to look like. And I wish we'd seen more of that in the movie.
Yeah,
the lobster Santa.
And so Jack goes to his house and he's trying to like study Christmas. He's trying to figure out a way to explain it, and he's like experimenting. He gets an experimentation kit from Dr. Finkelstein, and he's trying to do some science, and it leads to nothing. But he decides that he could probably improve upon Christmas.
Yeah, so so the song is Jack's obsession while he's up in his tower studying Christmas. And I got a radical new take on The Nightmare Before Christmas while I was listening to this song.
Oh?
Jack Skellington is a cultural appropriator, and Jack Skellington is a colonizer.
Oh, is he? He's colonizing Christmas.
He colonizes Christmas. He does. And the quote, he says, "And why should they have all the fun? It should belong to anyone. Not anyone, in fact, but me. Why I could make a Christmas tree." He's just that person that's been abroad. They went to some other country and came back dressing like in a dashiki, and Jack Skellington. Yeah,
is it not okay to travel and appreciate stuff and
but he
join it?
He doesn't just travel and appreciate it.
Oh no, not Jack. Not Jack. Jack is definitely. He's literally trying to take it over and make it his own.
Yes,
he's the equivalent of the Coachella girl with the native headdress.
Yes, totally. Yeah,
that's him. But I don't entirely agree that if you come home and you take on some stuff from your travels, that's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. I mean, I would be such a hypocrite because my house has Japanese shit hanging everywhere in it.
Yeah. Also, I wish more people would leave this country because they'd figure out it's literally not much different than anywhere else except for the politics.
And arguably not the center of the universe.
Well, don't tell America that.
Yeah. So we kind of brush over. Sally she sneaks out to visit Jack. Mm-hmm. She makes him a little picnic basket. And while she carefully lowers that out of her window, she just tosses herself out. Value yourself more, Sally. But she goes and brings it to Jack, and he's really charmed. But then she sneaks away before he can even thank her. But then she has an ominous premonition of a burning Christmas tree.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to call out during the song was it kind of goes through and different monsters and people sing different backup things. Like Something's Up with Jack. Mm-hmm. I really like the vampires. They're my favorite. They're so cool.
I was wondering if you were going to like them or not. I love how in the daytime they carry their little parasols around.
Yeah. I love them, actually. They're my favorite part of this whole deal because I love vampires. But these are fun vampires. Yeah. So that whole deal with Sally happens, and then Jack starts assigning different residents of the town Christmas themed jobs. Like, you guys are carolers, you're making presents, you're gonna build me a sleigh, and then they create they got skeletal reindeer, and I love the coffin sleigh. That is so grim.
And the coffin sleigh is one of those things that's from the original poem. That's in the story from all the way back to 1983, whenever he wrote the original poem.
I wonder, is that poem available? Is that something you can get?
Oh, dude, you haven't.
I don't have it.
It's on the 20th anniversary Blu-ray, but you can watch it on YouTube, narrated by Christopher Lee.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, we'll post that. I'll post that up on our Facebook because you should watch that.
Okay, my favorite actor of all time.
Mm-hmm. And he reads the Tim Burton poem with new animation behind it, and it's
that's pretty cool.
That stuff's beautiful.
All right, well, I'm glad we did this, so now I can see that.
So, as you say, Jack's handing out assignments, and in come Lock, Shock, and Barrel, a.k.a. Boogie's Boys, and Jack has a special assignment for them.
And these are 3 trick-or-treaters. They wear masks and stuff. They're kids. I believe one of our friends has these 3 on her. I believe Diver Carly has a tattoo of this. I call her Diver affectionately.
Sage. I know Sage listens.
Does he?
So,
okay, Sage.
Diver Sage and Diver Carly or Sage's wife Carly.
Either way,
if she responds, then she's a diver.
She's not just Sage's wife. I was friends with her before they were married.
And yes, I thought of that too. I was like, I know someone with these characters tattooed on them.
Yeah, for sure.
So yes, Lock, Shock, and Barrel, played by Danny Elfman, Paul Rubens, and Catherine O'Hara, doing double duty, not just Sally.
Yeah, this is really, I like these 3 characters. Mm-hmm. These 3 are charming. They're fun. Mm-hmm. I like their banter. And he tells them that they're going to be, they're going to go back and they're going to go kidnap Santa for him.
Yeah.
And they're like arguing about who gets to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Not like how hard it's going to be, or not just like, it should be me.
Oh, and they have some really dark stuff where they say they put him in a bag, throw him in the ocean, and see if he gets sad. It's like, oh my god, no, he would get dead.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Kringle has magic. But,
yeah, that's true. And they ride around in a clawfoot tub, which I think is just a cool, weird thing.
Yeah.
And Jack gives them specific instructions. He's like, leave Oogie Boogie out of it. This is kind of our first mention of Oogie Boogie.
Yeah, who is this guy?
Yeah, we saw him in the opening montage, like his face on the moon, but no, he hasn't been mentioned yet. But basically, immediately the trick or treaters are like, when we get Santa, we'll give him to Oogie Boogie.
Yeah, for sure. They're like, they go and they kidnap Santa, and they're like, yeah, let's just take this guy to Oogie Boogie. And it turns out Oogie Boogie is a burlap sack sewn boogeyman who has a passion for gambling. And he's just, I love his room with like the blacklight motif and the roulette wheel and the dice and everything. I think Oogie Boogie is pretty sinister.
He is. And so Oogie Boogie is played by Ken Page. And his whole sequence, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but we get our first glimpse of him there. And it's an homage to the old Fleischer Studios cartoons with Cab Calloway in them. He's that.
Oh, okay.
He's even like a lot of his dance moves are things that Cab Calloway used to do back in the 30s.
I mean, he's a really smooth dude.
Yeah, Oogie Boogie and Oogie Boogie's song that's a bop too. That's a really good one.
And so then Sally attempts to rescue Santa, and
whoa, you're getting way ahead.
Oh, am I? Okay,
yeah.
You can go ahead.
Okay, let's back, because we skipped over Making Christmas. But
oh yeah, that's true. The fun thing about that, when they're doing they have that montage of making the Christmas, was they're stuffing all the gifts with dead animals in various stages of decay.
Yeah,
they're pretty funny, like roadkill.
The roadkill turtle. Yeah. And Jack kind of tells the guy, he's like, oh, this has been dead for way too long. You need to get something fresher.
Yeah,
like,
we got to do better.
Yeah, and Lock, Shock, and Barrel kidnapped the Easter Bunny before they got Santa Claus too. They brought the Easter Bunny in. And Sally has been she's been wanting to sabotage this whole thing. So even though Jack tasked her with making his Santa suit, she's got a bottle of fog juice that she's going to try and deploy and cancel Christmas that way. But yeah, now I think we get to where you were saying, where Jack shows up like Nosferatu in his coffin sleigh.
Yeah. I was actually saying that Sally is trying to rescue Santa.
Oh, okay.
But she ends up getting captured by Oogie Boogie as well.
Yeah, because she tries first to sabotage with the fog, but Zero is there to play Rudolph for Jack, and he takes off.
Because she wants to do anything to cancel Christmas, because she's just not into this whole idea of Jack taking over this job.
She just kind of is the only one that can see it's going to go bad.
And she had that premonition.
Right. And we have the Christmas Eve montage
of Jack delivering presents and stuff.
Which this thing is just like, for Tim Burton fans, this is a Easter egg Christmas.
Yeah.
Because like the vampire teddy bear, that's the top of Shrek's department store from Batman Returns.
Oh, nice.
And also the penguin rides around in a giant rubber duck, and there's a rubber duck, and the sandworm from Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Which that's an Easter egg to Dune.
Yeah.
So it's just like eggs and eggs and eggs.
Nesting eggs.
Yeah.
I do like all those creepy toys. They're pretty fun.
I know, that seems like a good Christmas. I love if I got a Shai Hulud in my Christmas stocking.
Yeah, and a vampire bear.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I love that vampire bear.
I bet you all of these toys are available on Etsy, handmade by somebody.
Probably. And
because that's
quickly shut down by Disney.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So despite Jack's best efforts, people are not a fan of his version of Christmas, and they set the military on him.
Yeah, and they start shooting like artillery, like anti-aircraft weaponry up at Jack's coffin sleigh. He's like, they're shooting at me.
Yeah, and that it struck me like how much that scene with the searchlights and the cannons, that is, I'm gonna say, I'm 85% sure that's an homage to the old Godzilla movies.
Oh, okay.
Because that's a very common scene of those, like the searchlights and the cannons all getting set up.
Yeah, I think that this is really fun with Jack's coffin sleigh, like driving around and stuff. And they eventually shoot him down.
They shoot him down, and he crashes in the cemetery. And we have the song "Poor Jack."
They all think he's dead.
And Jack has a pity party in the cemetery, as is his wont. That's what he does. But luckily, his massive ego helps him snap out of it real quick. and he finds himself re-inspired to be the Pumpkin King, and is determined to set Christmas right, and he returns to Halloween Town via like a crypt door.
Yeah, he's basically like, oh man, that was so terrible, but I love terrible. Halloween is my jam, but I'm gonna help Santa Claus fix Christmas.
Yeah, and so I guess, cemeteries naturally lead to Halloween Town.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He comes through the portal, and he hears Sally screaming down in Oogie Boogie's lair, and so he heads down there to rescue Sandy Claus and Sally. And Jack and Oogie, they have their final showdown on the roulette wheel, like you said. Mm-hmm. And I love every time that Jack kind of goes down like a spider, like when he flattens out and creeps around. Like, he's so creepy looking.
Yeah, I like Jack. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Oogie Boogie gets his burlap sack bag body gets unraveled, and all the bugs fall out.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
They fall into the fire pit, and Santa even gets to squish one of them.
Yeah, and basically Santa fixes Christmas. He replaces all the gifts that Jack gave with regular Christmas gifts, and Halloween Town celebrates Jack's return and Jack's survival. And Santa and Jack basically are like, okay, we're cool. Everything's good, but don't come back to Christmas Town.
Yeah, I had that in my notes. Santa has surprisingly few hard feelings because he brings Christmas to Halloween Town.
Yeah, he makes
for the
it
first
snow.
time.
Yeah.
And Jack and Sally, they finally get their moment in the cemetery. It's now covered in snow, and she was sitting up there on that weird mountain that he likes to go and sit on. Yeah, and they go have a little moment together. The song's finale / reprise. And that's it. That's the end. It's a pretty brisk little movie.
So it's like an hour and 19 minutes long, and that is taken up more than 50% by songs.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty quick thing to deep dive because it's mostly just music, and the plot is not super complicated because it's a musical, and that's how holiday movies are. Usually holiday movies are the plot should, something goes wrong, somebody's got to fix it, they fix it. It's like really it is that totally easy. And so that was pretty much the whole movie. And so I mean, what worked for you? What are your personal highlights?
Number one, and this isn't a surprise because we already alluded to this, Danny Elfman's music. Mm-hmm. I love this movie, but I love the soundtrack more than I actually love the movie itself. I was thinking I'd seen this movie a lot, but then when things are different from the soundtrack album, I kind of was like, oh wait, this sounds different. And it was like, oh, because I've just listened to this many, many times, and I actually haven't watched the movie nearly as many times as I've listened to the album. And then my other big thing that worked for me is Tim Burton's character design and his original core concept. Yeah. He has such a unique art style, and I think it's really difficult to capture it. And this ends up being kind of one of the most Tim Burton movies.
Oh, yeah.
Which is weird because he didn't actually direct it. But it captures his vision a lot more than live action movies even can, I think.
Yeah, his vibe is all throughout. This is very much his thing.
What about you? What worked for you?
It's basically the same as you. I really like the music. I think the score, even during the non-musical parts, just the score itself is really good.
I stand for Danny Elfman. I mean, I listen to all his stuff.
Yeah, he's good. And I think that the animation was just amazing. I love the attention to detail, all the little things in every scene. There's Easter eggs everywhere. There's tiny little details that you just don't even notice until your third rewatch or whatever. And I like how all of that is done. And I love practical effects. I do not like digital effects. Okay, I don't hate digital effects, but I like practical effects better. And this is all practical.
Yeah, totally.
And so I just love that about it. And I didn't list it on my thing here, but I agree with you completely that the character design and the concept art and the spooky idea here. I love Halloween Town. I love all the little characters. I love I like Jack Skellington is great Pumpkin King. I like Oogie Boogie and all the little side characters that don't get much screen time that are just like the band and all of that. I like all of that stuff. This movie is fun.
Yeah, totally. What didn't work for you?
I don't like musicals. So
so just the format.
Constant singing. I'm just like, oh man, come on. I would love to see a movie or even a series set in Halloween Town about the politics of the place and the mayor and Oogie Boogie and the different groups. Give me some Game of Thrones-esque politics set in Halloween Town.
Let's pitch this. The Wire. But in Halloween Town.
I would love it. I would love it. Lock, Shock, and Barrel. They're doing some shit, and they'd be main characters, and I would eat that up with this music. You know, like I mean, that would be great, but not musical numbers all the time.
Okay, interesting.
So that wasn't my. I like the movie, but I didn't like that about it. And obviously, I'm always the storytelling guy, and I think this was extremely linear and simplistic. It seems like it was written for children.
It is.
And so it has no twists, zero turns. It is extremely predictable, the entire thing. And there's no surprise at all. You're just supposed to watch it and be delighted, which I mostly was, but I was not intrigued ever.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh, this is fun. Oh, this is fun. Nothing turned and made me think, whoa, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, nothing like that.
That's true.
So what about you? What didn't work for you?
So and this is, you know, I love this, but I think this would work better as a shorter holiday special. Like
sure,
it was,
like 45 minutes.
Yes, exactly. Like it was originally intended. I don't think, even though they are fun characters like Sally and Oogie Boogie, they don't add to the story. They add subplots.
Yeah.
But the subplots aren't necessary.
Legitimately, if you deleted the entire Sally subplot, the movie wouldn't change at all.
Right. So, yeah, I just think, you know, you could make this a lot tighter. And I think the poem, just as it was narrated by Christopher Lee, I think that's kind of like the best version of the story when it's just cut down to you know, an old-fashioned kind of nursery rhyme story. That's not to say I don't like it. I just think it could be tighter.
All right. Well, I have the ratings from across the Metaverse.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes gives this a 91%.
Ooh.
And this was on their top 25 list of best Christmas movies ever. I believe this was number 10.
Okay.
And it's a good Christmas movie. And then Metacritic gives it an 8.2.
Okay.
IMDb gives it an 8.0.
Okay.
What do you give it?
I'm at 4 stars.
Okay.
And it's, you know, as much as I like it, it doesn't have whatever that extra thing to push it into the 5 would be. But to me, it's a solid 4.
So I was really torn between 3 and 4.
Okay.
Because it's not that interesting of a movie as an adult. It's hard to not pull the phone out during the copious musical sections. And watching it with a laptop in my lap, I couldn't not open a new tab on my browser while I'm typing out my notes.
Okay.
But I do think this is one of the best Christmas movies. Like whenever I go to the family's place for holiday stuff, one of the traditions on Christmas Eve and even Christmas or whatever is to just put on Christmas movies.
Right.
This is one I want them to put on.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch most of them. This, on the other hand, I do want to watch because it's spooky and fun.
Yeah.
So that means it has a special niche. So I'm going to give it a 3+.
Okay.
It's 3 quality, just standalone, but it is culturally significant in that it is the best Christmas movie for weirdos.
That's fair. You know, it's an interesting thing because I was looking at Henry Selick's IMDb. and then he did James and the Giant Peach, and he did Coraline, which Coraline, I think, they might have won an Oscar for that one for Best Animated or something.
This one got some nominations. It didn't win anything.
And I think it's interesting that, Coraline probably is the best movie he ever made, but I've only seen that once, and I've seen this movie countless times. So sometimes that thing that makes something a cult classic, that special something, that plus factor that you put on there.
It's Tim Burton's special sauce.
Yeah.
That's really what makes this better than Coraline. And in my mind, maybe
but
not.
Coraline's got Neil Gaiman sauce. That's good, tasty sauce.
Yeah, that's true. Could we get some Tim Burton and Neil Gaiman sauce mixed together?
Oh, I'd be into that. That would be really good.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back and wrap it up.
Okay. All right, welcome back, divers. It's that final segment, the one where I ask Dave, what are you into right now?
I am into a new book series.
Okay.
I started it since we last talked, I believe, and I already powered through one book, and I'm in the middle of the second one.
Oh man,
so it's a good one. It is the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown, narrated by Tim Gerard Reynolds, and this is not like something like huge in big pop culture. Like you probably never heard of this series or these people. It is it's really hard to give a review without it's hard to compare it to something without people dismissing it.
Okay.
Because it has a special sauce that adds on to these influences. So if it's a future Earth sci-fi where people have colonized the entire solar system. It has the future feudal vibe of Dune. It has a caste-based system a la Hunger Games. It has crazy youth indoctrination a la Ender's Game. And it has social political warfare and literal warfare a la Game of Thrones.
Interesting.
So
none of those things make me dismiss things. Those are all kind of high quality.
Yeah, they all are really cool, but it could make someone say it's derivative. Like I did see one review on Audible that said, I've already read Ender's Game and Hunger Games. I don't need this. But book one is like the origin story of the of the character, and there's a kind of a Hunger Games sequence. But it's a school, kind of like in Ender's Game, where he goes to a school that's really brutal and people die. And so I can see that. And it's super YA, dismissive.
Like
no, it's not YA. It's adult. Okay. And it's just super good. I'm on book. The first book is called Red Rising. The second book is called Golden Sun. And there's 5 books, and a 6th one is going to come out at some point. The author is kind of a youngish dude. Looks like he's in his 30s based on his picture, and he's based in LA, and it's he's a modern author making modern fiction. I love that the narrator they got, this guy Tim Gerard Reynolds, he's a British guy, but I think he's Scottish or maybe Northern English or something. It's not like a typical Londoner accent.
Yeah, I know that Sean Bean Northern accent.
Yeah,
is that what
I like the way this is read. It's really good.
So is Red Rising, I just assume that means something to do with Mars, like it's up.
It does start in Mars, yeah.
Okay.
And that's it's double meaning. Every cast, there's like 15 of them or something like that. Every cast has a color, and the golds are the ones that sit atop. They're the high nobles essentially, and the reds are the lowest. They're essentially labor slaves.
Okay.
And it starts on Mars, and so it's dual meaning, Red Rising, and it's super super fun, super good. I'm not gonna spoil any of it, because I highly suggest, if someone's on the look for a new kind of sci-fi future feudal thing, you go check out Red Rising by Pierce Brown. It's good. I'm really enjoying it.
Some of that stuff it does sound familiar, like, and I don't know if it's because I've heard about this or if it is just those sort of rhymes.
I'm 90% sure this Red Rising got on my radar because it was on one of Audible's like top 10 recommendations lists or something. I'm pretty sure that this was one of those ones that they were recommending. So what about you? What are you into right now?
So a show that I loved, and I didn't even know if we were going to get more of it. The second season dropped on Netflix, and so that's Yentified is what it's called. Oh. It's a comedy drama created by Marvin Lemus and Linda Yvette Chavez, and it stars Carrie Martin, Joseph Julian Soria, Carlos Santos, and Joaquin Cosio. And it was based on a digital series, and it centers on three cousins who kind of have to come together, and they're trying to save their grandfather's popular taqueria in the Boyle Heights neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Fans of the Deep Dive of the Metaverse, you've seen a bit of Boyle Heights in Repo Man. So if you want to know like what that hood is, kind of southeast of downtown LA. And it's a comedy drama. It's not, when I recommend shows like this, it's more towards Reservation Dogs than it is towards Kim's Convenience, which is like a straight up sitcom. This is more of a drama it's a drama with really funny people in it.
Gotcha.
And it's just like, it's one of these, it's a really great slice of life and sort of how gentrification, positive and negative, affects the neighborhoods, because they do sort of, in the first season, you see how they kind of like ride the wave of gentrification to get new business into the taqueria, but then ultimately that ends up to developers buying their property and pushing them out of the taqueria.
Gotcha.
And it's just really good, and it's a great cast. And it's probably like,
what's that called again? Maybe I'll check that out.
Yentified.
Yeah. Okay.
Gentified.
Oh, okay. So it's a soft G. I would have misspelled that. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I didn't know because of how things, like the season ended, and then like COVID shut down, and then I was like, we'll probably never get a season 2, and then opened Netflix one day, and season 2 came in surprise out of nowhere. I was like, oh shit, I'm streaming this tonight. We're watching Yentified tonight.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I really like this show a lot, and it Joaquin Cosio, who plays Pop, the grandpa that kind of everyone is centered around. Mm-hmm. That old man has the key to my heart. Like he's such a good.
Is this gonna be like Kim's Convenience?
No, it's not like that. It's not, because that's a straight up sitcom, right?
Yeah.
Like very much a situational comedy. This is a drama. But with with comedy, with comedic actors.
So I'm gonna do. Are you done with you, or what are you into? Okay, I'm gonna do a part 2. I want to recommend 2 YouTube channels. I didn't even write these on my notes. I just thought of it.
Okay.
Because I do a lot of YouTube. That's my thing.
I watch YouTube more than anything else.
Yeah, it's totally. It's worth it, divers. If you do not pay for YouTube Premium, I bundle it with YouTube Music, and it's like $12 a month. I have no ads ever. And YouTube Music is better than Spotify if you have a paid account. It just is. For free. I don't know. But I think it's the best $12 I spend every month on a subscription. I would cancel anything before this. YouTube Premium, no commercials. Mm-hmm. I can't even do YouTube with commercials anymore.
So here's
I'm spoiled.
I want to add something to this. I did YouTube. I did my free trial of YouTube Premium, and then we did Lisa's free trial of YouTube Premium, and then we got to the end, and I was like, "Don't renew it." And I feel like ever since then, YouTube is punishing me with more commercials.
I bet you they are.
Like I get way more commercials and more interruptions where it pops in the middle of something.
It's 100% worth it. So, and I watch it on my TV also. I do it through the Roku. Anyway, so 2 YouTube channels we've been watching a lot because of Wheel of Time, Carrie being a super duper fan. We watch Reduxes, and there's also lore videos and all this stuff. There's this one guy named Daniel Green. If you just look up Daniel Green YouTube, you'll find him. He is the Wheel of Time guy. He does he does everything like years before this series. He's got, if you want to watch just like a 20-minute video that tells the entire lore from the beginning to modern on Wheel of Time, so you understand the context of everything, he's got it. If you want to see a super deep dive of every episode after it comes out, Daniel Green talks about it. But he talks about it all from the perspective of a book nerd. Like, not just a book nerd, but a dissecting book nerd. Like somebody like us with Game of Thrones that's even read all the peripheral everything. So that's him. The other opposite end of that is a YouTube channel that is completely from the perspective of non-book readers. It is a YouTube channel called Everyday Negroes, which feels weird to say as a nice guy, as a white guy, as a nice white guy, I'd like to say. But that's literally what they name themselves.
Right.
And these 2 guys are so funny. And I really like their videos. And they do reaction videos to every episode where it's literally playing and you're seeing them mostly. And there's like a little tiny picture of what's happening on the screen. And sometimes they pop it up and then pop it down. And the cutting and the editing of their videos, super good. Like when something crazy happens, a little thing pops up on the bottom, reaction cam, and it like closes in on one of the dude's faces and he's like, whoa. And it's super hilarious. It's well cut. And then after the episode, they sit there and talk about it and they theorize over things and they discuss the different plot threads from their perspective as non-book people that haven't, so they've got a fresh perspective. And I've read the first 2 books, so I will soon have my knowledge eclipsed from this show. I love it when they're like, yeah, but didn't you remember that little detail? And they're onto something. They pick up the really subtle threads, but they do it in a way that's really funny and really interesting. So I want to call out Daniel Green and Everyday Negroes for YouTube if you are interested in the Wheel of Time. And I guess they do, Everyday Negroes does other reactions to other shows too, like Squid Games, and that's kind of their thing. They have a Patreon and all of that. They do reaction and discussion content. It's like a talk show for different shows. So I just wanted to call them out. So that brings us to the end of our episode. We do ask that you subscribe to us on your favorite podcatcher, as well as YouTube, Spotify, and Audible. Don't forget to leave us a review. A 5-star review costs you nothing, but means everything to us.
New episodes of Nick and Dave Deep Dive the Metaverse drop the 1st and 15th of every month. You can find us on all social media platforms across the Metaverse as Deep Dive the Meta. We are on Twitter still, even though we don't use it as much. We're on Instagram because it's fun. And we're on Tumblr, where at least 5 of our 38 followers aren't porn bots.
Well, I guess this is really goodbye.
Don't say goodbye. Say good journey.